Hello and welcome back to the GB Fantasy Football channel. It's been a few days since the last upload, so I hope you've all been doing well. In today's one, we're going to be covering the Sun Dream team and all the things that comes with it. Of course, covering the week that's just passed, the game week 3, of course, has just finished up with Crystal Palace against Aston Villa. Crystal Palace coming in that game with a 3-0 victory, surprisingly, but we'll get to that in just a little while. Now, thank you very much for the support on the channel. If you could go ahead and complete the perfect hat trick, smash the subscribe button. We're closing in on 1.5k subscribers, so every little bit helps. Be greatly appreciated. Hit the thumbs up button while you are there. Push the content out to all you Sun Dream team lovers, and hit the notification bell as well whilst you're at it, so you don't miss an upload. And without further ado, let's crack on to the video. First, I thought I'd cover how my week went, how the transfers rolled out, and how my thought process was going into the game week 3 deadline and potentially going into the game week 4 deadline. Now, as you can see on the screen currently, I got 95 points this week, a mammoth week. The previous two, they've been okay, nothing too special, nothing too exciting, but I felt like this week, for the first time this season, I finally got my footing into the new campaign, and it feels much better than the previous 2 weeks did. I think I got 72, and I'm tempted to say 79 points in game week 1 and game week 2. So to get 95 points in a single game week represents an incredible week overall. Now, as you can see, there was a few standout performers across the board, but we'll get to them in just a little while. My 3 transfers this week, yes, there was 3 transfers. I kept one back from game week 1 going into game week 2, and game week 2 into game week 3 I used the remaining 3. So game week 1 to game week 2 I brought in Dan Ballard. Of course, Dan Ballard only lasted 9 minutes for Sunderland in game week 2, so he had to be brought back out, which was just awful transfer planning and news overall. So I had to bring Ballard out, and I did indeed bring out Juve of West Ham. Unfortunately, this week he's actually gone on to keep a clean sheet away to, I think it's Nottingham Forest, and he picked up an 11-pointer. You can win some, you can lose some. He picked up an assist, he picked up a clean sheet. That comes off the back-to-back single point game week from 3 1-pointers, including the Carabao Cup second round game. And I take him out and he gets an 11-pointer. I did it last week as well. I took out Coyote for Ballard, and Coyote got, I think it was a 9-pointer against Aston Villa. So clearly, whoever I'm taking out in defence is guaranteed points for that week. So keep your eyes peeled for my transfers. But I brought in Livramento, Chalabar, and Papsar of Tottenham. Now, this was keeping a keen eye on those European fixtures. Of course, we're all looking for those double game week players ahead of game week 4 and onwards after that. So Livramento, brought him in, 7-pointer, clean sheet away to Leeds, 0-0 draw, awful game overall, but thankfully it's not the game itself that we're hoping for, it's the player performances. He didn't pick up any bits and pieces, it's strictly just a clean sheet and appearance points for him, but I'll gladly take it. I was planning on bringing him in because he was the only Newcastle defender going from game week 2 to game week 3 that was either set to keep his price or potentially a 0.1 rise, so that's why he made the cut. Chalabar coming in for Juve, 0.3 rise going from from game week 2 to game week 3, so he was always on my radar. He picked up the goal last week in the 5-1 victory over West Ham, and Cucurella was just out my realms of budget wise, so Chalabar was brought in strictly for his rise and potentially to be the second most nailed asset in that Chelsea back 4 behind Cucurella. Of course, at right back you've got Gusto and James. The other centre half position chops and changes, but it seems like Chalabar and Cucurella are very much nailed on for minutes in that Chelsea back 4. When I brought him in, I couldn't have imagined what he'd do this week. A 17-pointer. An incredible haul from him. I think he got the assist, he won the penalty in that one. He got max bonus points now. He was on 12 overnight. I was thinking to myself, he's going to drop down. He's going to go from 5 bonus points to 3 bonus points. It went the other way. He went from 12 to 13 ppm, and he stuck with the 17 points. Got the assist, max bonus points, picked up a couple of tackle points as well, and a clean sheet. An incredible haul from him, and he has catapulted me up the rankings. I think I'm currently about between 5 and 6,000. Of course, some points might change overnight. For reference, I am recording this on Sunday evening after all the games have been played. So potentially going from Sunday into Monday, a few points might change here and there. But Chalabar, 17 pointer, obviously is going to go up 0.3 in price as well. And with their double coming up in game week 4, he's here to stay for a little while. We've got Royce in goal. Sunderland, I thought they was going to keep a clean sheet in that game against Brentford. They did not. They did win the game. They won 2-1, and Royce saved a penalty. So 2 out of the first 3 weeks, he's been an incredible buy. He's gone up a bit in price. He's gone down a bit in price. But for that 2 million price bracket, for his game week 1 heroics, unfortunately didn't pick up too much in game week 2, and to come away with 6 points in game week 3, I couldn't have been happier. Later down the line, I will look for a European goalkeeper, potentially one of a cheaper price, maybe someone like a Bizot at Aston Villa if they don't get their new goalkeeper through on deadline day, but that's all to be seen in the next 24 hours or so. O'Brien at the back, only a 2-pointer, fresh off his 0.3 price rise in the week. I was hoping for a clean sheet in this one away to Wolves. I didn't think they'd concede twice, which is a bit of a doubt going into game week 4, but I think he'll have the Carabao Cup fixture and a league fixture, so I'll have to swallow that price decrease and just take the doubler. Bruno Fernandes took the captaincy armband this week. He left it late. If you was watching the game and watching the highlights back, you'll see he should have scored, he should have got an assist. He was the one that put the cross in, I believe, when Casemiro hit the bar and got the own goal for Burnley. I don't know how that wasn't a big chance created, but didn't go down like that in the statistics overall. And he missed a sitter from the corner where it was flighted in. He hit it on the volley, and I thought it's going to be one of them days. Of course, after last week when his penalty ended up in the Thames, it was sad times. This week, last minute penalty, 95th minute. I did indeed captain him on both fantasy games this week, so it was very much heart in the mouth moment. He slotted it away. He come away with a 9-pointer overall, which of course doubles to 18 points. At the time, very thankful for it, and even now, I wouldn't change my thought process. Bruno, as we know, it's not just a strict goals or assists with him. He picks up points everywhere, and that's why we love him on this game. But with no Man United doubles in the foreseeable future, he might be one to leave the squad. Across the rest of the midfield, Pap saw a brand new transfer this week. He scored well in the previous 2 game weeks. I think he's got 8 and 4 points respectively. Only 2 points this week, probably in line for a 0.2 or 0.3 rise, but that was mainly looking forward to game week 4 for Tottenham. Kudus, he was on 7 points at one stage with the 3 bonus points. Got knocked down to 7 ppm and unfortunately went from 7 points to 5. Solid enough. He will be nailed on in that Tottenham front line and is probably a very good asset going forward. And finally, Dewsbury Hall in the midfield, 13-pointer, a goal and an assist in the game. He's flattered to deceive in many fixtures so far this season. He's dodged points at the best of times, last week going from 6 points to 3 points with just a single foul and a booking. Thankfully this week he's come up trumps, and I'm extremely excited to see his 0.3 increase, a double in game week 4, and I think he will stick around for that one at least. And going into the front line, Erling Haaland picked up a goal against Brighton away, had 3 shots on target I believe overall, looked very lively indeed. Salah, not so much. Arsenal kept him out for the majority of the game. Went there for a draw, potentially to pick up a win, a scrappy goal here or there. I don't think any team really deserved to win that game, but Liverpool did come away with 3 points due to a fantastic Dominic Szoboszlai free kick from about 30 yards out. Salah, though, just a 2-pointer. It was kept relatively quiet by Calafiori and Co at the back for Arsenal. He's going to stay in the team. He was always in the team for the double game weeks, but it's one to keep monitored going forward with regards to Gakpo and Ekitike if Alexander Isak doesn't sign. And the final player in my team this week was Jared Bowen. Not Jared, Jared Bowen. I went all French on you there. Jared Bowen. The man of the moment. He has been my Eze from last season, this season so far. 14 points in the double game week just gone in game week 2, and a 12-pointer in this one away to Forest. He was literally there this week because I thought he'd keep value. I didn't expect anything away to a Forest defence that's normally been very solid. I certainly didn't expect West Ham to score 3 goals in this one. 12-pointer, picked up a couple of tackle points, certainly one tackle point with 2 tackles involved in that. Picked up a bonus point as well. Just a points machine, and he's left me with a big dilemma moving into game week 4, but it's a good dilemma to have, and thankfully his points have catapulted me, as of many in this team, into a position where I'd hoped I'd be in going into these double game weeks. The team's looking good, the points are looking good. No boosters used as of yet at the big 3. Of course, I used a substitute booster in game week 2, bringing in Amad Diallo for Cole Palmer. But with Palmer and Saka not in the team, injuries looming over the both of them, it'd be interesting to see how our teams line up going into the game week 4 European doubles. A few thoughts with regards to the fixtures over the weekend, some of the teams that I've watched, and some things that have caught my eye with regards to where they're potentially going, some weaknesses, some strengths, and things that have slipped onto my shortlist for potential candidates in the near future. Now, first up, I'll cover Arsenal. Once again, reliant on defensive displays over attacking prowess. 2 out of the first 3 fixtures of this season been away to Manchester United and away to Liverpool. Very tricky games when you look at it over the course of a season. Yeah, they've scored 1 goal in those 2 fixtures, and that was a corner away to Manchester United. They didn't really look like scoring against Liverpool. They had a few half chances at best. Madueke coming to mind. But there's a lot of attacking talent on the pitch, but there's still a lot of attacking talent not quite there just yet. Of course, players like Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, all currently injured and probably will be for at least the next few weeks going forward. You're going to see a front 3 of Eze on the left. I'm fairly confident of that. Yes, he didn't start this Liverpool fixture, but I think that was mainly due to Arteta not trusting him defensively. Martinelli tracking back. Let's face it, he didn't offer anything going forward. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you know how frustrating Martinelli has been over the last 6 to 12 months or so at least. So it'd be Eze, Gyökeres and Madueke until Saka comes back at least. But they're reliant on their defensive display. I know a lot of you have asked me about Calafiori going forward prior to this Liverpool game, and I've been quite hard-headed and stubborn with regards to when you've asked me, would I bring him in? I've always said no. If you had him in game week 1, fair enough, you've smashed it out of the park points-wise. I don't think he's going to play the double fixtures. He will certainly play one of them. I don't think they're going to risk him for 290 minutes in games 4 days apart, especially with his injury record. Arsenal have been heavily linked with, I'm tempted to say it's Hincapié of Bayer Leverkusen. Of course, he's a left centre half and a left back. And going into deadline day, he said his goodbyes yesterday. He will be an Arsenal player, and I think along with Skelly and Timber as a left back option, there's just too much doubt around Calafiori. Despite his impressive returns, you've got 13-pointer, a 13-pointer, and a 4-pointer against Liverpool away. So close to the clean sheet and a big haul again, but I wouldn't be going there. Arsenal defensive assets, they will be solid going forward, especially in the European fixtures. I don't think a lot of them will play in the Carabao Cup 3rd round when that rolls around. You might get a Mosquera, you might get other players like Benjamin White at right back and Skelly at left back, but they won't play both. So I'd stay away from them. Of course, Saliba also picked up what looks like a minor injury currently. Fingers crossed on that front. More of a roll of the ankle in the warm-up. But Arsenal-wise, I can't see too much out of the ordinary that we didn't already know. Defensively solid. Have games where, similar to Leeds last week, where they score 5 goals and they look great. They just need a bit of a better run fixture-wise, and their assets will be ones to target. Next up, I've gone for Aston Villa. They look awful. I watched them tonight play Crystal Palace. They're yet to score a goal this season, let alone anything else. They look as though PSR has taken its toll on the team. Emi Martinez was left out tonight's squad. I think he's on the way to Manchester United if everything goes well for them on deadline day. Of course, they've already lost lots of other players, Jacob Ramsey being one of the star assets that they've had to let go this year due to financial reasons. At least that's what we're led to believe. And they just look short across the pitch. Of course, they could still get a few players in before deadline day. and they really need to because they're looking short. But with Watkins, with Rodgers, they've got a Europa League campaign looming on the horizon. I don't see why you'd rush to get a Villa asset at the minute, especially with their poor form. They're going to be decreasing in value again from game week 3 to game week 4, so I'll probably stay away from them for the time being. Bournemouth next, another team that caught my eye. Of course, this season it's been hit and miss so far. They scored 2 on the opening day away to Liverpool. Look good going forward. Kept a clean sheet this week away to Tottenham. A surprising result when you consider Tottenham went into this with some decent form. But if you look at the stats of that game, Bournemouth absolutely battered them. It wasn't a tricky fixture. Sorry, it was a tricky fixture when you look at it on paper, but Bournemouth dealt with it completely well. Tottenham only had 2 or 3 shots in the entire game, didn't have a shot on target until the second half, and Bournemouth could have been 3-4-0 up in this game and no one would have batted an eyelid. I think Bournemouth going forward, of course, they've only got single game weeks, which isn't ideal. I think they went out in the cup. They will score goals. Evan Nielsen, Semenyo, Tavernier, decent options if you're looking for the single game week players, but with the European fixtures looming, I'd probably stay away just for that reason. Chelsea, another team that are looking really good. No Cole Palmer this week, still out with that injury. Another clean sheet, maybe lucky according to some, with regards to Fulham's goal being chalked off. Interesting call. Leave a comment down below on what you thought about that refereeing decision, especially due to the fact that I think the fourth official for that game got stood down from the Arsenal-Liverpool game, so maybe it was a mistake overall. But Chelsea kept another clean sheet, so that's 2 out of 3 games. They're still yet to leave London with regards to their fixture list, so it's been favourable. Attacking wise, João Pedro once again scoring. Very good header from a corner. It was playing that number 10 role anyway until Liam Delap went off with an injury. It looks like Nicholas Jackson's loan has fallen through. They've called him back, so it's one to look out for. And I also think they've brought back Mark Guéhi from Sunderland. A lot of you FPL players will know who I'm on about with regards to him. But Chelsea, they've got lots of options out wide. Of course, you've got Pedro Neto. Is it Esteval, the young lad who they brought in this summer? And also Gittins out wide as well. Lots of rotation. Enzo Fernandez took the penalty when João Pedro was on the pitch, so that is one to note going forward. I thought João Pedro would take it. Enzo took the ball but slotted it away, so you'd imagine he's on him until Cole Palmer comes back. But Chelsea looking really good going into the European fixtures. And the last team on this slide, Everton. They've got a double game week coming up with the Carabao Cup, I believe, in game week 4. Jack Grealish has basically turned into Pele overnight, so 4 assists in 2 games for him. In line for another 0.3 price rise. Same with Dewsbury Hall, 13-pointer. And Iliman Ndiaye, they're looking like a fantastic trio behind either, is it Barry or Beto up front? I think them 3, they're coming up trumps at the minute, and just Everton are really clicking into gear. That new stadium seems to have done wonders for them. Defensive wise, I don't know when Branthwaite is meant to be back injury wise. I don't think there's been any time scale put on that. So if you went for Keane at the start of the season as a 2.5 million asset, you're in the money, literally, on this game. Mykolenko came back, looked okay. Just what Mykolenko is, really. Solid enough. O'Brien at right back. I was hoping he'd play the Carabao Cup game last week. It was Seamus Coleman played that one at right back, so unfortunately O'Brien didn't slip into the centre half position, which I thought he would. Tarkowski played, Keane played. Whether or not O'Brien will play the next round of the Carabao Cup, which is a slightly trickier fixture than what they had in the second one, is still yet to be seen. But if he does, another solid Everton option. A few more teams that I've noted over the weekend. Tottenham, of course, fall into their first defeat of the campaign, a 1-0 defeat at home to Bournemouth. They looked quite poor in this one. Now, there's rumours spreading around that Dominic Solanke could potentially be out for 2 to 3 months. Now, that's not been verified as of yet, but if the news does come out that he is out for such a period of time, Richarlison suddenly springs into our thoughts even more so than he probably was before. Minutes-wise, I thought he'd share him with Solanke, which he probably would. But if he's not available, he's going to be the starting number 9 for Tottenham going forward. And that would certainly put him in our thoughts. Across the board, though, Tottenham's squad doesn't look too big. It doesn't look like it's capable of withstanding Champions League fixtures. If it was in a lesser European competition like the Conference League or the Europa League, like there was last campaign, I feel like their standard of player could sneak through. However, you go through the team, and if there's a few injuries here or there, if a Kudus gets a small niggling injury or one of the centre halves in Romero or Van der Ven, you look at that Tottenham squad and it's not looking vast across the board. They've only got three fullbacks. I don't count Ben Davies as one. I think he's 954 years old now. He's lost his legs. You've got Spence, Udogi, and Porro, who did surprisingly get brought off around the 70th minute in this game at the weekend. So, one to note going forward. But Tottenham, when the best team is on the pitch and they've got no injury worries, I think Tottenham are a great team to target for their assets going into the Champions League campaign. Promoted sides wise, Burnley, they looked okay against Man United. They scored twice, nothing really to note on the Burnley front. Sunderland and Leeds showing early doors that home form is key for those promoted teams. Leeds are yet to concede a goal this season at home. They won the first game 1-0 at home to Everton, 0-0 at home to Newcastle in the second one, 4 points out of 6. I'm sure you Leeds fans are very, very impressed with what you've seen with regards to your home fixtures so far. Of course, away to Arsenal didn't go too well, but they're not the games that will keep you up this season. Your home form will. Same with Sunderland. I think Sunderland have won both of their home fixtures this season. Beat West Ham on the opening day and beat Brentford 2-1 with a 96th minute winner. So the Stadium of Light and Ellen Road looking a bit of a fortress. Will that continue going forward? Not too sure. But for those of us who have the cheaper defensive assets from these two teams, might be able to keep them slightly longer term than we initially planned. Man United, they're better than last season. They're not the Man United of old. And that's just the best way to put it, really. I think getting Martinez in goal will be a step forward, in my opinion. I think Bayindir has looked a bag of nerves. Every time I've watched him, he's dropped the ball. Anytime the ball's come in the box, he's turned into a puddle. As Mark Crossley said about Brian Clough back in the day, he called him Jigsaw. Every time the ball went in the box, he went to pieces. And that's the same with Bayindir. Onana, clearly not favoured, didn't cover himself in glory with that Grimsby fixture. So Martinez will help the defence. And I think when the other Martinez comes back, Lissandro Martinez that is, in the left central position, he will also offer a bit more stability on that front. I think Yoro, Delict, they look okay. They look good. Yoro's improved massively. Dorgo didn't start that game against Burnley. Not sure why he started the game against Grimsby and didn't start this one, but only Ruben Amorim will be able to tell you that one. But Man United, Mason Mount up front with Mbeumo. Cunha looked like he came away with a hamstring injury in this one, so if you do have him, I think the international break, you're going to want as much information as possible going into game week 4. But I wouldn't be rushing to get any Man United players. I've got Bruno Fernandes. I don't feel like I'm going to add to Bruno Fernandes at any stage, especially with no double game weeks. But Man United, last minute winner. Maybe they can build on that. And finally, Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace are a very interesting team. Of course, last season they targeted the domestic cups very heavily. They didn't rotate much in them. But this year, on top of them, they do have the Europa Conference League campaign. They came through their playoff rounds, 1-0 overall aggregate win. But Palace, a lot in the air. Mark Guéhi scored a fantastic goal against Villa tonight. Just gone, that is, on Sunday evening. Whipped it in the far corner. It looks like he will be heading to Liverpool, though. Whether Palace can get one, I think they've signed, well, certainly had a bid accepted of around 27 million for a centre back. But I think they need another one through the door just to cover. Gay is a massive part of that back 3/5, whatever way you want to see it as. And to see him leave so late in the window would be a bitter pill to swallow for Crystal Palace and their fans. Losing Gay and Eze in the same transfer window can't be nice, especially with the upturn in form and just the general play that Palace give off each time you watch them. Munoz and Mitchell, they're your starting wing backs. Mitchell will share minutes with Borna Sosa across the season. Not too sure if Nathaniel Klein will take minutes off Munoz. Of course, Munoz last season was a minutes monster. In midfield, Wharton, Looked like he picked up an injury. I doubt he'll go on international duty, which is a bit of a shame because we'll have to watch Jordan Henderson put on an England shirt once again, which is something that I didn't expect to say in 2025. And going forward in that front three position, I think they've got Yerry Pino, new transfer from Villarreal. Correct me in the comment section down below if that is incorrect. I was looking at him on another fantasy game. He's not currently priced up, and I think that might be the same for Sun Dream Team. Mateta scored the penalty tonight, looked okay. I think he will share minutes in the Europa League with Eddie Nketiah if he becomes fit once more. And Ismail Assar, that is, playing on that right hand side in the number 10 position. Got a goal in this one, a nice little back post header, but then got booked for diving as he's pulled his hamstring. I don't think I've seen anything like that before in football. Literally, referees booked him. He's booked him for simulation and he's pulled his hamstring falling over. So what the timescale is on that, I don't know. I know a few people were asking in the comment section of a previous video with regards to him. I won't be going there now with any more information. But Palace, Conference League campaign coming up. Last year we couldn't target the Conference League as a competition. Chelsea had two teams, one in the Prem, one in the Conference League, so it was pretty much written off early doors. But with Palace in it this year, we've got more options and more routes to points. So that does indeed conclude my Game Week 3 roundup, thoughts, early opinions, and just basic rundown on how my team has done this week. As I said, it's been a really good week personally. Leave a comment down below on how your week has gone. Has it been one for the ages? Has it been a stinker? Are you happy with how your squad is lining up going into the international break? And have you yet used a booster? I'm intrigued to see how many of you have actually hit a big booster chip that is not just the substitution chip. It's interesting to see people at the top of the leaderboards if they've used a goal bonus or perhaps a max captainer so far, keeping that powder dry on that front. But that is it, I'm afraid. There'll be plenty more videos still to come over the international break, so keep your eyes peeled. Hit that subscribe button. As I said, we're trying to get to 1.5k. All of you, I think there's 80% of you currently watching this video are yet to subscribe, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and it helps me out massively. Like the video if you've enjoyed today's content and hit that bell notification so you don't miss one. Complete hat trick. What more can you ask for? My socials are down there in the description below. We've got TikTok, X and Instagram, all the good stuff. So please do go check it out. And that's it, I'm afraid. That's it for today's video. So thank you very much for watching and you'll be seeing me in a new one very soon.